we have got a story in Politico that I love. Now, the reason I love it is because it gives you great insight into how Washington works and what it's all about, and what we've been telling you all along. Turns out that a lot of the Democratic donors from Wall Street don't like Elizabeth Warren and don't want her to be vice president. No. Wait a minute now, I thought they had no power or no effect on Hillary Clinton at all. But here I come to find out that it turns out they might have some effect on Hillary Clinton. Okay, now until she makes the decision, and we'll talk about this at the end more, you've got to keep an open mind. But let's look at the factors at hand here. Politico reports big Wall Street donors have a message for Hillary Clinton. Keep Elizabeth Warren off the ticket or risk losing millions of dollars in contributions. Well, that message seems fairly clear. But let's go to the actual donors. They're quoted throughout the piece here. Quote from a donor: if Clinton picked Warren, her whole base on Wall Street would leave her. Now, I love that threat because it is crystal clear. The second reason I love it is because they describe Wall Street as her base, which it largely is. We'll show it to you in the numbers here in a little bit as well. That same donor continues. They would literally just say, we have no qualms with you moving left. We understand all the things you've had to do because of Bernie Sanders. But if you're going there with Warren, we just can't trust you. You've killed it. You've killed the goose that lays the golden eggs on Wall Street. So who is Hillary Clinton's real base? We're going to find out. Does she pick Elizabeth Warren, or does she go with one of the pre-selected candidates from Wall Street, Tim Kaine, Cory Booker, someone like that, Julian Castro? They list all the candidates that they are comfortable with. Now, Elizabeth Warren makes them uncomfortable. So they say, no, you've already gone left to Bernie Sanders. Of course, you didn't want to do it. I know that you actually work for us. But enough is enough. We can't have this rabble-rouser, Elizabeth Warren, as VP. That is a risk we are not willing to bear, and we will leave you if you do that. Okay. Now, Politico has more details. They say a constant theme that emerged in the interviews, and they talked to many Democratic donors here, is that executives in the financial industry believe the first 100 days of a Clinton administration could feature potential deal-making with Republicans, who are likely to maintain their majority in the House of Representatives. So, do you understand the game being played here? This is exactly what we warned you about in the primaries. In that first 100 days, she's going to rush and make deals. Wait, why would the Republicans want to make deals with Hillary Clinton? Because they're not going to go towards her. She is going to go towards them. Those are the deals that Wall Street is looking forward to. Let's give you more details. The dream deal for Wall Street, as Politico explains, would be a combination of targeted infrastructure spending that appeals mostly to Democrats and corporate and international tax reform that could bring Republicans along. In other words, yeah, more spending, great. The banks are happy to have the government do more spending, but most importantly, tax cuts for the corporations that bought that candidate. We will have our goddamn tax cuts. We'll call it tax reform. We'll say you're compromising with Republicans. The Republicans want the tax cuts. You want the tax cuts. The only person who's a little pesky and annoying, certainly Bernie Sanders, but we got rid of that guy. Good job, corporate media. But Elizabeth Warren, she doesn't want corporate tax cuts either. No, we can't have her. Quote, the fear is that Warren would make such a deal more difficult. We can't have difficulties on the way to their tax cuts. They didn't spend all that money buying their preferred candidates to have that money go to waste. So let's explain the details of that money. The securities and investments industry, in other words, the financial industry, is easily Clinton's top source of cash, donating over $28 million so far, according to CRP. That's Center for Responsive Politics. They track it. You think they spent the $28 million and not wanting anything in return? Remember when they would ask Bernie Sanders, now, are you saying that Hillary Clinton would be affected by those millions of dollars? Well, here is the people who gave her that $28 million saying, don't you dare. Now, Hillary Clinton hasn't made a decision yet, as far as we know. So if she picks Elizabeth Warren, then you give her all the credit in the world and go, hey, you know what? It turns out it didn't affect her decision making. If she turns out she doesn't pick Elizabeth Warren and goes from one of the people on the list that has been pre-approved by Wall Street, then you'll have your answer as to whether $28 million affects her. Now, that's not all. That's the money they've given so far. That was an appetizer. Remember, the general election is the entree. So, picking Warren would be risky for Clinton's fundraising operation, Politico says. The presumptive Democratic nominee hopes to raise $1.5 billion for her campaign against Trump, and Wall Street has been a big source of funding for her over the years. Now, they didn't give her all that money in the past because she didn't give them return on investment. I mean, you're not going to say they don't know what they're doing in terms of making investments, right? I mean, the establishment tells me that the Wall Street guys are super savvy. So is this the one time they're not savvy? They've been giving money to Hillary Clinton for decades for nothing in return? That doesn't seem to make sense. So, and they gave her in the primaries, make sure they get that Bernie Sanders guy out of here. And now, by the way, if you'd like more of that, make sure it isn't Elizabeth Warren. Sheila Krumholtz explains, she's again, executive director of CRP. All they do is track this stuff. So she's just explaining the situation. She says, things are so volatile now with all the outside groups that all it can take is pissing off one billionaire on Wall Street to make it difficult. You're going to need all that money to run against Donald Trump. Don't you dare even piss off one billionaire. Remember when Bernie Sanders warned about the millionaires and the billionaires running our politics? I think this is kind of what he was talking about. Now that they believe that he's been dispensed with, they just talk about it brazenly, out in the open. Like, yeah, of course the millionaires and the billionaires make these decisions. Of course. When Bernie Sanders was saying it, outrageous, radical, loony. Okay. All right, more from this report, and every part of this is great because it tells you what's actually happening behind the scenes. Okay, but more moderate Democrats in the financial services industry argue that Sanders voters will come on board anyway and that Clinton does not need to pick Warren to help her win. Okay, I love this because it shows their arrogance. Progressives, we don't need you guys anyway. It's okay. On the other side, we have a monster, and so you don't have a choice. That's how we set it up. You're going to have to vote for our person anyway. And don't worry, they'll fall in line. Okay. Picking Warren, a Wall Street banking senior executive says, would indicate weakness and panic for no reason and make them look like they are running scared of Trump. There will be plenty of time to galvanize the left and get them to come out. And Warren would be a nightmare to try and manage. See, they manage all the candidates. And they tell them what to do. But Elizabeth Warren, she's an actual progressive. She'd be a nightmare to manage. What a pain in the ass. She's not easy to buy off. Now, don't worry. The left will galvanize. They will carry our water like we told them in every election. We'll scare the hell out of them, tell them Trump's on the other side and a lot of Supreme Court justices are on the line. We'll do all those. They will fall in line. Let's not risk somebody like Warren actually doing something for the American people and not for us donors. Okay. Finally, a financial service lobbyist says, there's going to be a lot to deal with in the first 100 days. And I'm not sure going left and picking Warren would be particularly helpful. No, it wouldn't be helpful to the millionaires and the billionaires. It wouldn't be helpful to the corporate interests and to Wall Street, who are literally banking on Hillary Clinton, falling in line, being managed, carrying their water, and doing as she's been told. She's been doing it for all these years. They expect her to do it immediately within the first 100 days, to follow the orders that she's been given. Now, would add millions of dollars to Hillary Clinton's campaigns corrupt Hillary Clinton? No. It was unspeakable in the primaries. But now that they think we're past the primaries, all of a sudden it's being spoken about. But not to criticize her, but to put this out in the press to say, hey, know your role. We're telling you right now, don't pick Elizabeth Warren because she can't be managed. Now, Hillary Clinton has not made a decision. She could surprise me and go, hey, you know what? No, I don't care what Wall Street says, and I don't want the rest of their money. I'm picking Elizabeth Warren. Okay. Well, then we would have some of our answer. If she doesn't pick Elizabeth Warren, then we certainly have our answer. And then please, please, whatever you do, and this I'm mainly addressing to the rest of the media, don't pretend to be surprised in the first 100 days when she gives them that tax reform that cuts their tax rate. And you go, oh my God, well, that's surprising to me. She was a progressive. Hillary Clinton was. I mean, we told you she was really progressive, but she gave them a tax rate. No, it's okay. She had to because she had to compromise with the Republicans. And you see, she's a deal maker and she got something in return. Those are all the excuses you hear. No, she was picked to cut their taxes. And all indications are that's exactly what she's going to do. And we don't want any pesky progressives like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren standing in the way of that deal. This whole election is about that deal. Young Turks.